Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another mini episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Arbertin, who has a very, very cold heart with me today.
That would be me, Kenneth Sanity, mourning my wife and wishing she would come back to feel my cold, cold skin and lack of emotions.
All right. And special guest.
My name is Blair Farrell from comicbookvideogames.com, back again. And well, gentlemen, here's to survival, and hopefully we'll be doing this again next New Year's Eve.
So we are here to talk about Batman Arkham Origins Cold, Cold Heart DLC that came out in 2014 April, which is...
And with this, we finally closed the door on Arkham Origins.
Here's the hat trick.
We still have the movie, but yeah.
We finally closed the door on the video game versions of Arkham Origins.
Oh, Salt and Arkham has nothing to do... Well, I guess it kind of has something to do with this, but not really.
Okay, it's just another thing set that we gotta cover.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, because this is the 3 Origin parts. That all... So I had never played this DLC before. I have bought it multiple times, I'm pretty sure, at least once on 360. And I bought it on PC again because my 360 I don't use anymore. And I had very little anticipation going into this. After we played, God, what the hell was that terrible one that we played last year? Harley Quinn's.
Oh, Harley Quinn's Revenge.
Oh, yes. Oh my God.
That was terrible.
It was. It was horrible.
It was boring. It was stupid. So I didn't have high anticipations for this. I was like, okay, we're gonna play this. We'll see how it goes. I mean, I've heard good things. I've stayed relatively blind to it. I mean, I knew it was about, Mr. Freeze because, of course, it's Cold, Cold Heart. He's on the cover. Like, I knew that, but I didn't know a whole lot going in, and I was surprised in a good way. What about you, Ken?
It would have been better if Elton John was the main bad guy of this one. With the cold, cold heart. Ha, 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 ha. But, no. It was a DLC.
Okay. What about you, Blair?
I thought it was enjoyable. I think it's just too much. Like, it even has like a Batman animated series like title card at the start, which I appreciate, because this is essentially just Heart of Ice again. That kind of retelling, just like, even though it's longer, it's almost abridged. But it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not overly long, which I appreciate so much. People are clamoring for longer things, and I turned this on last Saturday and just knocked it out in like an hour and a half. And I was like, I like this. Just being able to beat something and get a nice little story out of it.
I will say it was a good story. Like, yes, is it almost note for note Heart of Ice? Sure. But, the Mr. Freeze story, it's emotional. And I think that makes him one of the better Batman villains as far as, pathos is concerned. And being able to play through this and kind of have an active hand in that story it was fun.
And throughout the Arkham series, like, Mr. Freeze has like an amazing arc. Like, between this and what happens in Arkham City and the city of, I can't remember what's called in Arkham Knight, but they did a whole chapter about post-launch stuff with Mr. Freeze. And like this, how that all concludes is like really satisfying. Like, perhaps more than anything else that's in Arkham Knight. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't played it.
We'll get there eventually, I'm sure.
Yes, we will be.
We need a long lead time. I'm just giving you that much right now.
Yeah, it's coming. I have it all planned out. It's still a while away. So, But with Cold, Cold Heart, one thing is interesting. It takes place, days after Origins happened, which I thought was... Because this is happening on New Year's Eve. Origins happened on Christmas Eve, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I thought that was interesting that it's like literally days later and all this shit is happening to him.
Which is hilarious because all of Origins happened like literally 6 days ago. That's not enough time to realize, hey, maybe I shouldn't do this thing. There's a big dude dressed like a bat that could cause problems.
Well, I don't think he cares. He's also super powerful in this. Like, this is a very powerful Mr. Freeze. Like, in the first cutscene, when you see them at Wayne Manor having the party and he just murders people instantly, not Mr. Freeze does, where I did like it where you have in the cutscene, the woman's like, oh, is this cold in here? Did you not pay your heating bill, Bruce? And then all of a sudden she gets frozen to death along with everybody else. I was actually a really cool cutscene just watching Mr. Freeze just freeze everything, break through, and just start killing people like that. That was really cool.
I only have one issue with Mr. Freeze in this. The voice and the body don't seem to match. You know what I mean?
The whole thing about the Arkham series is that everyone, they have that unreally design, because I think a lot of these are made with Unreal Engine, where everyone just has that big chunky, even Bruce Wayne, just when he's in his suit, looks like he's jacked. If someone saw him, it's he's probably Batman. Look at him. He's huge.
Yeah.
And it's just everything is big, and that suit is it's almost like Rod Julia in Street Fighter, where it's just a tiny man in a giant suit.
Small guy in a big ass coat.
With a lot of personality, because Rod Julia shoots for the stars. But anyway.
It does. I didn't notice that. I mean, I played this over a week ago, but I don't remember there being any type of effect with that, with me noticing it, with the voice not fitting the body or anything. I don't remember. I did like it how Mr. Freeze comes and Bruce just leaves. He goes in the hallway and just starts leaving. He's going to get the back suit, but it just amused me that that's what he was doing immediately. And then you have all these scenes where Penguin's men have also showed up because Mr. Freeze is working with Penguin for some reason you don't know, and then he's here to get this guy, Ferris Boyle, who Bruce is supporting to help change the city. That always works out really well.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's other stories I know where he supported somebody. I just can't remember the guy's name in Court of Owls that he was supporting that turned out really well for him.
Oh God, that dude! Yeah.
Yes, I mean it's been more than that. I mean, there's been a lot of people that Bruce supports and turned out to be. Oh wait, you're a murderer. Huh.
I just want to give a big shout out to the voice actor of Ferris Boyle. That was Stephen Tobolowsky, everybody's favorite insurance salesman from Groundhog's Day.
Okay, I have not seen that movie in many years.
Oh, you should.
It would, yeah, but it's just I like how you get to be in the mansion for a little bit, just wandering through. You see people who are cowering in fear, of course, because they almost got murdered. Vicky Vale wearing the same costume that she's wearing in Arkham City, but hey, and it's the same model.
Now,
looks like.
Considering that Arkham City takes place years after this,
She kept her jacket.
Come on, girl, change it up.
It's called we don't have money to make a new model. Here you go.
Well, it's got to be economical with your design. It's you have Vicky Vale for 5 seconds, you can spend hours remodeling a thing, or it's just can we just have that? And we're just, most people, I didn't notice. It's been a spell since I played Arkham City, but I was oh yeah, it's Vicky Vale again.
I did find it amusing that Bruce doesn't know how to get to his Batcave at first. Alfred has to tell you, well, you should go through here. You probably shouldn't use this entrance. Why don't you use this? He doesn't know what he's doing exactly.
Well, it could be he just doesn't live in the house very much. He's probably just down in the cave, and he just forgets where everything is, as his house is too big.
It was interesting that you have a couple stealth missions, or at least one or two. I think it was at least more than one, but where you are just Bruce and you don't have all your gadgets and you have to sneak around and take out guards with guns. I did like that, even though I died, but I liked it.
Yeah, you don't have the crutch of your detective vision, so you kind of have to be aware of your surroundings, or mindful of your surroundings, as they would say in Batman Begins.
It was very interesting to see Bruce, because you haven't gotten to play as Bruce in the Arkham world except for Arkham City for that little brief time, so it was nice to have Bruce again, even though it's not the same, but it was still nice, except you think they'd be wondering why can Bruce Wayne beat the shit out of all of us.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not sure anybody who's designed this game ever wore a custom-made suit, because typically when you get a bespoke suit, or actually tailored to match, there's not a lot of room for jumping halfway across the hall to pummel the living shit out of somebody. So I don't know if these are just special suits that Bruce is getting or what, but it doesn't fit.
I wouldn't put it past him. It's okay, I need this suit for this, for business meetings, but also just in case. I mean, even if you weren't Batman, I want something I can run in, just living in Gotham City in general, because it seems it's oh, I gotta go and get a carton of eggs, and you just we'll probably get mugged by 20 people.
Gotham City is a pretty terrible place.
Yeah.
If you're Bruce Wayne, you don't run, though. You stand. You fight because you are the knight.
Or you just order someone to go pick you up eggs at the store.
That's true.
Yeah.
Or you just, Uber.
I don't know if Does Gotham have Uber Eats? That's a question. That's what I want to see explored in the Batman game.
And I did get a kick out of how he gets to the Batcave is a statue. That made me laugh.
Yes.
Because it's a reference to Batman 66. So that was cool to me. I like the Arkham Origins world a lot. I really do.
And what I like about this is even though it's like 7 days later, he seems much softer. As at the start of Arkham Origins, they have like the cutscene and it has like the TV, and I think Vicky Vale or some reporter approaches him and he's like, "Oh, you're like, what's Gotham's most eligible bachelor doing?" And he's like, "No questions. I don't have time for this." And now he's actively just engaging with the crowd and talking to Ferris Boyle, and you can see that, kind of what happened in Arkham Origins affected him, that he realized that, I have to still be Batman and tough, but like, I also have to, soften my approach a little because I'll get more results that way.
Also, I would assume plays a part in the fact that Bane figured out that Bruce Wayne was Batman, so maybe he's trying to act a little different now, too.
That's also a good point, too.
Because, Bane went into the Batcave and fucked it up, which you still see because it's still messed up when you get here.
Which is cool. I really do like that they carried that over. I mean, I'm sure it was, well, let's just reuse this environment that we already created, yes. But it worked out well. It was good for continuity.
It's only 7 days later, so, I don't think he would have had a whole lot of time to, fix the place. Not like he can go hire contractors. Hey, come on into the secret cave I have, but, and I hired you and I'm paying you, but don't mention my name, okay? Like, yeah.
Hey, man, even contractors have family over Christmas.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Bruce Wayne just puts on like a fake mustache and just goes to hire contractors. Yeah.
This isn't the Bruce Wayne matter. No. This is I'm Hustain Wayne. That's who I am. Yeah. Hustain.
Well, they had that entire like Batman animated series episode about like the mechanics who worked on the Batmobile.
That was a good episode.
Yeah.
And I'd like the tease they do in this DLC too, where they show you the EX suit and just go, "Hey, look at this cool thing that you can't use right now." Ah!
Just gonna have to get Alfred to fix it. Okay, sure you are, buddy.
I was like, a little bit I knew about this DLC. I didn't know about that piece of equipment because I've seen screenshots and stuff of the EX suit, and it's on the cover. And I was like, okay, and I'm like, oh, I'm Batman. I'm just my regular suit. Okay, like it's fine, but it's a good lead up to get you excited for that EX suit.
Yeah, except I feel like the story runs into the mechanics a lot in this, because sometimes the cryo beams will turn people just to flat out ice. Sometimes Batman will get hurt by the ice in his regular suit. Sometimes EX Batman gets hurt by the ice beams. Like, what's the point?
It also just seems like this is like, as we mentioned at the top, it's really short because you get to explore Gotham a little just with a full loadout from Arkham Origins. But like you get to a point where essentially you need this suit, and you see like one of the only collectibles in this is like there's frozen people all around Gotham, but you can't do anything with them until you get this new suit.
Yes.
So essentially you just get to a point where you get to like a place and then it's okay, now just go get the suit and then go back and kind of do it all over again. And then it just kind of ends.
I think it's just kind of the point of like collectibles, especially in this era, 2014. Collectibles are a big thing in this era of gaming, I feel like.
Yeah, but the collectibles do unlock stuff. Like, it is good.
I didn't have a problem with it. I didn't do all of them. I rescued some people, but I didn't care enough. But that's me.
Well, if they give you the suit off the hop, this would be like a half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I liked seeing the mansion on fire too. I thought that was really cool because you don't normally, they were burning down the mansion. Of course they didn't destroy it. Obviously, that happens later in the series, but it was cool to see that the mansion was just getting, wrecked by these guys, and they really don't care. And they're like, "Oh, hey, I'm going to take this as, good for nothing, Bruce Wayne." Like, again, that made sense. I thought it was hilarious when they make fun of him being rich as hell. And they're like, "Oh, just take this. He won't notice," which is not untrue. When you're that rich, you won't. I'm sure you don't notice.
That's something I love about, because when Insomniac Spider-Man came out, which I like, but people like a lot more than me, I think it's a strong 8. What I really miss is like the flavor text of the Arkham villains just gliding around, just hearing like the conversations that they're having, like especially in Arkham Knight. they're like really funny, especially after kind of like the game ends and you're exploring. What they're talking about is really great. And then just like here, it's like even you get the payoff of like you run into the guy that you dumped on the Christmas tree in the main game here again.
Yeah. I like that a lot. I mean, I also liked that it had a bunch of detective modes too in this. I thought were cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just like it did in Arkham Origin, but it was nice to see that. Like Mr. Freeze they do a good job with him where he's very single-minded in this game because that's Mr. Freeze. Like he freezes you at one point, but he doesn't care about you. He's just there to get Ferris Boyle, and you're just in the way.
Yeah, like when you first meet him, he just like freezes you in a block of ice, and he's basically just like, I have no qualms with you. I'm just here for him, and he takes him and goes.
Like, nice and you just keep fighting tons of Penguin Men. I think you even see Penguin Men that have a version of the freeze pack too. Yeah, you see him very early on in the mansion, which I like the fact that he helped them build something. So they had it too. I know it kind of defeats the purpose of Mr. Freeze, but still, I was okay with some of the goons having an ice pack gun.
Well, it introduces a new enemy type. So, like, because after Arkham Origins, you kind of have a rhythm and how to deal with a crowd, and then suddenly it's okay. Now I have to tackle this guy first because this is really going to screw up my flow if I get frozen and I have to break out. So it's almost like you're either building up a combo to take them down or immediately going after them.
And I will say, starting out with the full loadout from Arkham Origins, like, I feel like this DLC nails shock and awe Batman better than the main game, better than any game since. It just gives you the tools. If you're good enough, you can just go in and decimate people.
Especially if you remember how to play and didn't wait 6 months to play, or however long to play this game.
Yeah.
It took me a bit to remember how the hell to play Batman again. It didn't take long. But
when you brought up like Harley Quinn's Revenge, I remember when I played that when it first came out, because it was like Arkham City came out in October of 2011, and Harley Quinn's Revenge came out in like May the next year. And in that time, I completely forgot. Like, I remember getting stuck for hours because I didn't know where a door was to get in somewhere.
Yep, same.
Just because I was like, what do I have to do? I'm gliding around here. But this is, like, I didn't have that problem here. Also, yeah, we just played Arkham Origins not that long ago.
But it was just nice to see. Like, I like the fact that you're fully decked out. Immediately, I agree with that. That was great because that's how it should be. It's been 6 days. He shouldn't have lost everything again. He loses everything enough.
Yeah, there's not some story reason where it's like, oh, like a giant stalactite or icicle fell down on my tool bench and all my stuff is gone or something.
I mean, he did lose the glue grenades.
Yeah, but they were useless anyway, so it's okay.
I thought the actual in-game explanation for not having them was pretty funny.
Same. I smiled when they did that. That made me happy when they made a little comment towards it. I don't know. It's just, and then it's like you start off. Oh, when did Arkham Origins Blackgate take? That was like later on in the year, right, or something?
I think it was 3 months, so that would put it around March.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's different. Okay. The other thing about this is you get to run around the city again. You get a chunk of the city from Origins, which is fine, but you get a little bit of the city to run around and be Batman in if you want to. And there's a couple of side activities. One is the anarchist thing. For some reason, you can either find tags, which I didn't even know existed till just now when I'm watching the video, and then you can also break up a few riots where you fight a couple people. That's it.
And for me personally, because I just came off of a big open world game where it's just a lot of nonsense. So to have this in the DLC where they're just like, you don't have to worry about all this other stuff. This just takes place in this one block. Like, I very much appreciated that, where it's just like you're not going to go all over the map. It's just like, it just takes place here. Like,
I did miss the experience factor because you don't gain experience in this. I did miss that, but I understand why it wasn't there. Because they would have had to carry over your Batman save, which this is kind of a standalone DLC. It's not connected to your save, so it makes sense.
You can, because I play this. I'm one of the lucky people who got a new Xbox Series X literally last Friday, and I just put in the Arkham Origins disc because it just automatically works. God love that system. And I downloaded the DLC, and I don't have a save file, so I guess it didn't carry over from my 360, which is understandable. But you can just start this. Like, you don't even need to have a save file from Arkham Origins. You just do this if you want.
which is really nice. I like DLC like that in games. I like it where it's just standalone. It's not added to your game. I mean, I haven't played a lot of DLCs, to be honest. Most of the DLCs I have played have been standalone, Minerva's Den, stuff like that for the show. So it's nice. I'm very a fan of this type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it was just nice running around the city. I mean, and you didn't have to. And like we mentioned earlier, I did laugh my ass off when you find the same thug that you threw through the window, that you threw off the Christmas tree. That made me laugh. That was really good.
The one thing that I really liked about this DLC was it felt much more alive than Harley Quinn's Revenge did. Like, I don't know if it was bigger. It doesn't really feel like it was bigger. Like, it felt like there was a lot going on in Harley Quinn's Revenge. But this just felt more alive. It wasn't just, the steel plant. It was a chunk of city. There were multiple levels, things going on, people getting the crap beat out of them.
I feel the expectations for this were smaller because this is just like, okay, here's like a little bit more. Whereas like the way Arkham City ends, you're like, oh man, what happens next? I want to know what happens next. And then this new expansion comes out and not that much happens. So that was kind of a letdown. I mean, it's hard to expect that you would get something major from that payoff in this months later content, but this is more or less just a focused Mr. Freeze story that doesn't have any larger ramifications almost on the larger Arkham series other than here's where Mr. Freeze is introduced into this particular take on Batman.
Mm-hmm.
But it was nice. It didn't, and you also get some new places in this because besides running around the city, you go to the build. What the hell is the name of the place where Ferris Boyle works at or
Goth
owns?
Corp.
Yes, and that was cool to see. Like you go there, you do a couple things, and you get locked out because you can't break through a barrier of ice. I think is this when you see the Penguin get frozen too?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like seeing Mr. Freeze turn on the Penguin. That was cool. I really like that.
Which
and then you start
was good
freezing to
stuff.
death too. Like I thought that was cool. Like I mean, you actually have parts where like instead of having the gas that you would have had I think in Arkham Asylum with the poison ivy gas, you have freeze gas where you can't go in an area and you have to like go through different doors and you're trying to get through. And I think there's even a part where you have like a sort of a time limit because you're about to get frozen.
And I do like that the frost gathers on the cape, like kind of realistically.
And it's
That's
interesting
kinda cool.
too. Like I wonder if like the reason for the having it's very much it's almost like we need an enemy and we have all these penguin thugs and they just say like, oh, Mr. Freeze, like use the penguin, just like I'll give you weapons if you help me do this. But then like Mr. Freeze freezes the penguin in this massive ice wall. And then when you think about like kind of where that relationship has changed in Arkham City, where like Mr. Freeze is in the heat prison and Penguin's museum, like that's kind of cool how they have that duality in the Switch.
Yeah, because he hates him, and this is why. I mean, it wasn't written then, but they did a good job of giving you a reason why he really does not like Mr. Freeze.
Yeah,
so I thought that was cool, and seeing him kind of just betray him was also cool, and he puts him in a giant wall of ice. But no, it was. I mean, he has some very cool cutscenes too in this DLC, which also impressed me. Like it's a very good story content of feeling for Mr. Freeze again. I have also never seen the Sub-Zero movie yet, which I really need to watch one day. But it made me more interested to watch that movie after playing this because it made me think more about the character. I also love the fact that the character had no story until the animated series really fleshed him out and made him the character he is now.
Yeah, just go back and watch Heart of Ice. You can honestly skip Sub-Zero. Just watch Heart of Ice.
You're going to load up HBO Max and turn on Batman and Robin?
No, thank you.
No.
I've never seen that movie all the way through. I'll change that one day.
I have a friend who loves that movie, and he hates the Suicide Squad, and I don't know. I just don't know with some people.
Well, the thing about it is, like, what was I thinking? Yeah, because I saw the new Uncharted movie, and not to get too off topic, but I'd rather watch a movie that's almost so bad it's entertaining than a movie that's so average that it's forgettable.
Fair. That's a good call.
Yeah.
Because like Batman and Robin is just like, it's so ridiculous. Like I just bought this Steel Tin of Street Fighter, which is why it had Rob Julia on the brain. And it's like, this movie is so over the top that it's incredible. And same thing with Batman and Robin. Like, it's not a good movie, but it's so quotable and memorable just because of how over the top it is. And yeah, I like the Robin suit because it kind of looks like Nightwing, but
Fair.
One day I'll watch that movie, probably for this podcast. But like after you, and then this, so in Cold Heart you have a scene where you have to go get this drill to get to Mr. Freeze, which you spend a good chunk. That's your next like objective. But I did really, like we mentioned earlier, the way that his cape looks with all the ice on it and everything, it just looks so damn cool. And then I think the game makes you get both pieces. Yeah, does it make you get both pieces of the drill before you get the EX suit, or do you get the EX suit right at this point? I can't remember.
I think you get the drill or it's around the same time. I think you have to get the drill first because that's out in the map somewhere. I think you might have to go back to the Penguin's Bar.
Yeah, you got to go to the My Alibi nightclub.
Oh, yeah.
And once you're at My Alibi, that's when the EX or the XE suit drops.
Okay, and this was...
And then you get the cryo drill.
Okay, the EX suit was fucking awesome. It plays the same. Like, he makes comments like, oh, I'm going to be, he's like, oh, I made it lightweight so I won't be heavier, I won't be slower. But now you get a batarang that can melt things, and you can melt stuff too, which mostly for story reasons. But he just looks badass. Instead of having the electrical gauntlets that you have, now you have thermal gauntlets, which act the same, but it's so damn cool.
I think that was
melt the ice.
My big disappointment with the suit was that, like, it essentially just swaps out electricity for fire. But I did like because it is a very bulky action figure like suit. And then Alfred says, like, yeah, he has a dialogue where it's like, are you going to be able to move in this thing? And he says, oh, I made it from like honeycomb weaves or something. So it's big, but I'll still be able to maneuver as normal. Like, I appreciate any amount of context as to why you're not slower or as to why you're still the same.
And it lets you rescue the people that are frozen in ice. It lets you break through some ice barriers so you can melt them. Like, it was really cool. And like using the thermal batarang to melt things, like to use your code breaker or use it to. It happened later on many times. When they freeze one of the spots you jump on, you can melt it. So it was just, I was really a fan of this. Like, to me, the DLC really picked up once you get this suit, and you can go run around the city and rescue people. I didn't bother because it's me, but. It's cool that it's there.
Yeah, because like it's half over by the time you get it, so it is nice that you can go out and explore in this suit after it's done.
Oh, you only get one piece of the drill, then you get the suit, then you go get another piece of the drill, and then you find out you need some kind of liquid nitrogen or something to power the drill.
Yes, the power source is in Gothcorp.
Yes, then you go back to Gotham Corp, which is now all frozen to hell. Way worse than it was when you got there. And I really like all the Gotham Corp stuff because this is where the story starts to really get fleshed out and you find out like what was going on and why this happened. And I really like that.
Yeah, it's like in Arkham Origins. Well, no, it was Arkham Origins where they brought in the rewind detective. Yes. I'm just thinking of, I have the Wii U version of Arkham City, and you kind of have to use the tablet to navigate crime scenes, which is what you can do. Although I don't know if this came to Wii U. I don't know. It's so confusing. But anyway.
No, this one actually didn't come to the Wii U. Arkham Origins did have a Wii U version, but the DLC got canceled due to lack of interest.
Oh, yeah. And I know the multiplayer got axed.
Yep.
But the detective case in this is Mr. Freeze, like, becoming Mr. Freeze, or Victor Freeze becoming Mr. Freeze.
That was really cool, though.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the detective part where you find out what happened and you have to put it together, and there's a bunch of different clues it was a very good detective part. I felt like where he's really trying to put this case, and it's not that quick either. It's a bit of a case you have to research.
Yes, you have to go all around like the room and kind of back to where you started, and then it's like the realization that Bruce Wayne is like, I've been backing this guy, and secretly he's playing the role of humanitarian, but he's making these weapons.
Yeah, and he's the whole reason that like you see, that he was the one that froze Mr. Freeze, and there was an accident, and it had something to do with his wife, and then they take the gurney out, and they left Mr. Freeze for dead or something of that nature. I think it was. I don't know. It was very good.
Yeah.
Like all things, it was just a a bad guy trying to do a bad thing, something worse happened, but he was still responsible. And I think the really cool thing about this was, like, right at the beginning, there's a security guard with same color skin as Mr. Freeze. And Batman's like, oh, he died of heat stroke. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I like that. Setting up right away why Mr. Freeze has the suit.
Oh yeah, because he's so cold that any heat will kill him.
Yeah, room temperature will kill this guy.
Yeah, that is.
I
cool.
thought that was pretty cool.
I really like seeing his origin too. I liked seeing him become this, like how he became Mr. Freeze in this. I thought that was, and how you kind of like feel for him because he's one of those characters that you're meant to feel for. He's not just a Joker villain or something. He's a character that has a reason why he became the way he was, not just that he dropped into a vat of poison and decided to kill everybody instead.
Yeah, and that kind of pays off even more in Arkham City because Mr. Freeze is, well, you do have admittedly one of probably the best boss fights ever in the Arkham series in Arkham City with Mr. Freeze.
Oh yeah.
But he's almost more of an ally in that game than an enemy. Like you torture him at one point because he needs like he's in the prison and the only way he's staying alive is that he has like the chemical that basically acts as a way to cool him down, and Batman kind of just like takes it and pours it out in front of him or breaks a vial.
Yep.
Yeah, but then like he essentially becomes your ally, so it's like, yes, he is a villain, he is doing horrible things to people, but what makes a good villain is that you understand why they're doing it, and this game really, and this particular chapter of the Arkham saga really drives that home as to why you care for this guy and his plight.
Well, he's doing it for love.
I forget, was his wife already because his wife was dying of something and they had her in cryostasis and that's what led to this whole explosion and everything because they were going to kill her, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Ferris Bueller wanted the technology for the cryogenic freezing.
Okay.
Yes, I know. I said Bueller. I don't care.
I know it was on purpose.
That's fine.
But he was supposed to help Victor Freeze get his wife cured. But he kind of, decided, maybe I'm not going to do that, and I'll just milk you for technology. And when Mr. Freeze started doing his own research to try to figure out how to fix his wife instead of contributing toward the weapons technology, that's when Ferris got pissed, took Nora away, and caused the unfortunate lab accident that killed one guard and might as well have killed another man. But no, he's just left alive, a cold, empty husk of who he used to be, with one spark of fire left in his body for his dear wife, Nora, who he has to cure.
And because this is when you finally get the drill to get through the wall of ice, I find it amusing that you leave the Penguin right in the ice. You don't save him. You don't get him out. You just leave him there.
Yep.
He's like, at least I know where you are when I'm looking for you. It's like, I know where you'll be staying, or something like that. He makes a comment.
It looks like Mr. Freeze isn't the only cold heart in the game, huh? Huh?
Because honestly, wouldn't you would die after a while in there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's my wonder, because they bring up, I think, when you examine some of the bodies at some points where they are frozen, but I think Batman says that, however the technology works is that they are frozen into a state of near instant cryostasis, so they're not freezing to death. They're just almost still. So that's why, yeah, because I hate the whole, well, like in Batman Begins, it's like, I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you. I'm just like, well, I mean, you're still doing manslaughter. It's not murder, but like, I hate the semantics of, well, I'm not going to kill you, but I'll leave you in a giant block of ice and let your goons chip away with like ice picks or whatever.
Yeah.
That's still killing Batman.
Yeah.
And then you get to the final fight of this DLC, which kicked my ass a few times before I finally got the hang of it. So you get into a room, into a large circle room with Mr. Freeze, and he has Ferris Boyle, and you're trying to go get Ferris Boyle out of there and beat Mr. Freeze, and he has his freeze gun, of course, and he's in a center platform, and you can go up above, kind of, where he can still see you sometimes, and then you can also go down below him, and he kind of moves around this level, and you have and he spawns goons to a never-ending supply of goons, because, why not? And
goons, hired goons.
It's all and you have Nora in the case, and he's trying to protect Nora, and this was a hell of a fight, too, because it's broken up into two or three different phases too.
Yeah, so the first thing you have to do before you even attack him is that there's power stations kind of around the arena, and you have to like depower those, and you're totally vulnerable, so you kind of have to make sure that he's like looking the other way, which is kind of hard to do sometimes because the camera is zoomed in on you, so you can't see what Mr. Freeze is looking at, which I found challenging sometimes.
You can use detective vision to kind of tell, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the goons,
And,
you also need the goons not to be near you, because if the goons are near you, they'll alert him and he'll just come and freeze your ass.
Yep.
And it's not quick. It takes about 5 seconds or so for you to stand there and make these cryo tanks blow up. And and every time you do it, even if he's on the other side, he will come all the way to you and stare at you for a second while you blow it up.
And how many of those crowd generators are there?
3.
In grand video game tradition.
Oh, God. If you think that, you should play Darksiders 2. If you want to play a game that loves the number 3, play Darksiders 2. Everything you do in that game is 3. You need 3 keys to unlock this door.
I know. I played Darksiders too.
Good game. But, God, does it love the number 3. So I died so many times on this part because I kept trying, sometimes I would try to take out the guards. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go hit the guards and take them out first. And they would kill me very quickly, or they would alert freeze. Freeze would freeze me. Then they would kill me. I had a really hard time getting these 3 generators down. I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it.
But you did.
I did. Took a while. I had to kind of look up a thing and said, yeah, you need to distract Mr. Freeze. I wasn't distracting him. I was just trying to go there and take out the guards and then do it.
Yeah, I was just moving quickly around the arena. I would just kind of zip around and do it. I didn't have much trouble with this part. I think what happens the next part is not so much challenging, but kind of tedious. And I guess we'll get into that now.
Yeah. So you break the 3 generators, he puts a freeze down and freezes you and all the goons that would have been down there with him, and now he's down here with you, hunting you. And I don't think there's goons again for this part. Maybe he brings back more goons, but
yeah.
He can kill you in 1 hit if you get in his face. Instant kill.
Yep. Best way to do it is break through the walls of ice and surprise him.
Yeah, you can drop stalactite or icicles on him. Icicles, yeah, big icicles you can drop on him. You can, go through ice walls. You have to find different ways to beat him down. And you can sneak up on him too, but I don't recommend it. I did it a couple times, but it's hard because he can turn around and be like, oh, hi.
See, this was such a bummer of a fight for me because, the Mr. Freeze fight in Arkham City is so memorable. So it's how do you top that?
You can't.
And then this is, I don't know if either of you ever played Batman Vengeance.
I know of it.
Well, it was the animated series PS2 game that came out in 2001 where you fight Mr. Freeze and you're in first person and you have to move around and throw batarangs at things that drop on his head. And it just think of how intelligent Mr. Freeze is in Arkham City. And it's just I was just zipping around at perches and being oh, what keeps dropping ice blocks on my head? And then at the end, I just jumped through a wall and did a takedown. It was just long. I didn't find it challenging this time around. I just found it tedious.
It's a long fight too. I mean, because you don't do, if you just do the icicle things, you don't do a lot of damage to him. And then in the end of the fight of the second version, you have to then go into a vent system where he'll go and he'll stand on a platform, and you have to go underneath the platform and take him down from above. But it takes a while to get there, too. I mean, you have to hit him many times before you finally get to that last phase of this fight.
Yeah, and I was using icicles, and it is chip damage.
Yeah, because you're supposed to go and take him down from vents and do other things like that, but I didn't want to get close to him because he kills me in 1 hit if he hits me. So I didn't like that. I don't like any fights where if I get in their face and I'm dead in a hit. I do not like that. I get it. You're not supposed to be seeing you, but I didn't like you can kill me that quickly.
That's
I had a hard time.
That's why I liked using the wall takedown mechanic.
That worked well for you?
Yeah, because you got a wall in between you.
Yeah.
And detective vision is your friend.
I just know one time I snuck up on him. I thought that was amusing when I went behind him and grabbed him. I didn't know if you could. And I'm like, hi, I wonder if I can. You can, but it's not safe because he can turn around sometimes and be like, oh, hi, murder.
What's up, frozen buddy?
It was still a cool fight. And then after you finish this scene where you have a cutscene and you go and you beat him in the vent, you have a very last part where you get frozen and Ferris Boyle turns out to be an asshole. Lo and behold, who would ever guess that somebody Bruce Wayne is funding would be bad. And
What? No.
he goes to kill Mr. Freeze while you're frozen in ice. He's just going to shoot. I think he's going to kill both of you.
Yeah.
There's no witnesses.
I know that's what I'd do if I was him.
And he starts beating Mr. Freeze, and you have Mr. Freeze's health bar, which is already halfway down from your fight, and you have to break out of the ice by tapping A like 5 times to break different parts of you out. I think it's 5. So you're 4 or 5 times, and then you have to go grab Ferris Boyle and beat him down. I thought that was cool as you're watching Mr. Freeze's health bar just dip down.
Yeah, it really does. Like, it's funny because it gives you almost a sense of helplessness while you're sitting there just watching this happen. And it's not, I don't think it's something Batman's used to. But ultimately, you do get out. You put the punch down on Ferris. You save Nora, who is about to die because Ferris Boyle's an asshole.
Yeah. And I think this is kind of the turning point, too, because Batman saves Nora. He doesn't let her die. And I think that's why Mr. Freeze is sort of your ally in Arkham City, because you didn't just let her die. You showed that you care.
While you leave the Penguin frozen in an ice wall. Yep.
Yes. You care about dead old women. You care about dead women. You just don't care about little, short, angry men.
I'm sorry, frozen women. She's not dead yet.
She's pretty damn close to it.
Yeah.
And then you get the credits and a little bit of talking, saying, filling the rest of the story out without having cutscenes. But I think one thing interesting, you start to kind of see a difference of Batman where you look at before, like when Arkham Origins start, how Batman is such a villain to the police. And then as it's progressing, you're starting to see him, not be a villain anymore.
Yeah, he's becoming the Batman that we all know and love, or at least, the Batman that we are fine with.
Yeah, because if you look at like Arkham City and Arkham Knight, he's still very much just like holding things close to his chest when he can just tell people what's happening, and it would be so much better instead of just being like, oh no, I'm just going to do this all on my own. It's like, no, just tell them what's happening so they can help you. But I think that's also just kind of in game design, because in Arkham City, Robin's there and he's like, oh, I can help you, and he's like, no, go in the city. It's like, we don't have the budget to have Robin yet. This is creaky old 360 tech. It's 2011.
Robin shows up in Harley Quinn's Revenge. Yeah,
true, but it's not like Robin is like even like a co-op mission or something, which Gotham Knights is so far away.
It's October.
I have the toys on my wall right now, and I have to wait 7 months for the game.
I'm surprised how late that is, to be honest.
It's just a part of the pandemic and how slow it is. Oh,
yeah, because didn't they advertise it in 2020?
Yeah, it was at DC Fandom where it was for 2021, and that not great looking Suicide Squad game is 2022, and now that's 2023, and Gotham Knights is later this year.
I think we're going to get that Suicide Squad game.
I hope not.
I'm interested in it because that's the Rocksteady one.
Yeah, but everything about that trailer just looks like it's so try-hard.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
I know one of the former writers on that project. Her name is Kim McGaskill, and she's has a great social media account, and she's really talented, and she worked on that game and had to leave because of rampant sexism, so that does not make me excited to play said jokey Suicide Squad game. And I'd just rather be the Justice League. It's like everyone's trying to make the Suicide Squad happen. It's like, don't give me the Flash. I'd rather be the Flash than Captain Boomerang. Like, unless all this development is they're adding Peacemaker and Eagly has a backpack that can fly you around. That's what I want. That's how you get me to pre-order.
It just seems weird.
That would be a good pre-order.
It's been a big push of Suicide Squad in general. Ever since the first movie, you just nothing but push with them, and I don't know. It could be a good game. I'll play it at some point after it comes out. I'm sure it'll be on my list, but yeah, I don't know. I know what you mean. Like when you see like the trailers and you see, the Boomerang being the Flash, essentially, why not just have the Flash?
Yeah, it's like, you watch the Arkham series and how it kind of evolved, and it's like, look at what they did with Batman. Now, it doesn't mean that their work in Batman translates to like other superpowered beings, but it's like there hasn't been a Superman console game in over 15 years.
There's a reason for
Yeah,
that.
because the last one bombed so hard.
But it had a lot of great ideas that if you just flesh out, like, you can make a really great Superman game. It's the ingredients are there peppered throughout all of the kind of starts and stops that they've had. And like, again, it's like another tired Superman's a bad guy. And like, I just want to be the Flash. Like, I want a Justice League game.
There's
Like,
a Flash game
Yeah, for like the Sega Master System.
for GBA. I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah, I have that one. And there's like, I have the Game Boy Flash game based on the 90s TV show. But, you know, you see the Flash running around and like Green Lantern and all these people that I'd rather be more than Deadshot and Captain Boomerang.
I think they also thought Suicide Squad would be bigger. I mean, that first movie didn't really do well, so.
Well, it nearly made $1 billion.
Oh, yeah, it did make a lot of money. It just didn't do
yeah.
critically.
Yeah.
Wasn't that bad.
Oh, yeah. No, it wasn't that bad. It was worse. You're right.
I don't like that first movie.
No.
Still haven't watched the theatrical version. Still can't watch it without falling asleep.
What's the Statler and Waldorf? That wasn't so bad. Nope, it's all bad. No.
I wish they released the extended cut of that movie, though, someday. So, and the last thing we should say before we go to shelf is the Suicide Squad thing we're talking about. This is a continuation of the Arkham verse, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. But Gotham Knights isn't, even though where that story leaves off, kind of.
Yeah.
Although I think by the end of Gotham Knights, you're going to be playing as Batman. He's going to be back.
I'm assuming Batman's going to be in Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League anyway, so.
But have you played Arkham Knight?
I know he died in the end, but I don't think he's dead, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I ever beat Arkham Knight, to be honest with you. I know the ending, but I have no memory if I beat it or not.
Well, we should do it. I literally just bought
we are
the
doing it. It's
DLC
July.
season pass for it.
July, we're going to cover it at the end of this season, and then work on the DLC, and then finally be done with this damn series.
I can play it on Game Pass and get achievements.
All right, I think we should go to Shelf Stacker Box for this DLC, Cold Heart. And Kenneth, why don't you go first?
I will put this on the shelf, actually. I thought this was joyous, short, good DLC. Didn't have a lot of busy work like Harley Quinn's Revenge. It didn't piss me off as much as Harley Quinn's Revenge. I like the fact that you get to play as a fully powered Batman right at the beginning and just being able to dole out shock and awe on everybody. Yeah, definitely. Definitely put this on the shelf.
Okay. And what about you, Blair?
Same. And I'm really bummed that, because with Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, they had I think Arkham Asylum was like a Game of the Year edition, and same thing with Arkham City, where they had that terrible cover that was just plastered with review quotes.
Yeah.
But they collected everything into this, everything was on disc, and I really wish that Warner Brothers would remember that this game exists. Like, re-release this on Switch or PS4, 5, and the Xbox consoles with this as one package, maybe throw in Blackgate. Like, I would put this on the shelf, and I just wish that Warner Brothers cared about this more than what they do.
Yeah, same. Arkham Origins really should have got a collection with this on there on a disc, because I would have bought it 100%.
I know it wasn't like a bestseller, but they could have called it the something collection. It doesn't have to be Game of the Year. Just, you have a marketing people for that.
Just call it the game collection.
Well, there was the other DLC for this game, too, where you had just a bunch of challenge maps where you played as Bruce Wayne or something.
Well, this had multiplayer.
Fuck a challenge map.
Oh, I forgot about that, because you're like in the kind of like the League of Shadows place in Batman Begins. I forgot.
Yeah, the initiation
Yeah.
challenge map.
I didn't
Boo.
do it, of course, or I don't think I even bought it, because I didn't buy the season passes. I just bought Cold Heart, I think. But
I have it. It's kind of hard. And this game had a full-on multiplayer game most people forget about.
Yeah, I think most people forgot about it when it came out, too. Hey-o.
it didn't do well. It was at that time when everybody was trying to put, multiplayer and everything.
Yeah. Josh Keaton was Robin, though.
Okay, now I'll go last. I'm also going to put this on the shelf. I really enjoyed it, even though that final fight pissed me the hell off, but that's that's more on me than the game. It's fine. I just don't like challenge at times. But I really enjoyed this. I still think Batman Arkham Origins is probably my favorite of the Arkham series, though. So I know that's an unpopular opinion. I have not played Knight in a long time, and I'm not. But so far, what we played in the show, this is I really like Arkham Origins. So yeah, I'm putting it on the shelf, and I'm really glad we played it. I think that's everything. And Blair, where can people find you at?
People can find me at comicbookvideogames.com, and you can read my work there. And you can find me on Twitter at Blaircade. If you'll just let me indulge just a little second longer, this month, the second volume of the NES Omnibus by author Brett Weiss is coming out, and I have a few stories in that, including one on Mega Man 5, which you can listen to on this show as part of Mini 12 after you pick up the book if you're so inclined.
And you can hear you talk about Mega Man 6 later this month when I finally, at the time of this release, Mega Man 6 already been out. So some point in late March, early April, Mega Man 6 episode came out. Go listen to that. So, all right. And if you enjoyed this episode, there are tons of other episodes. We do games, movies, comics, and tons of Batman stuff because we are obsessed with Batman. And since I said that, I should look up all the Batman episodes we have done.
It's been a lot of Batman, is what he said.
Yeah, it would help to, search this before I start talking, but, that doesn't happen always. We did Batman War of Jokes and Riddle, Comic 35. Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate, Episode 159. Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, Film 23. Batman Court of the Owls, Comic 33. Batman Haunted Knight, Comic 32, which not enough people have listened to. I checked those numbers. It's good. It's a good comic. Read the good episode, too. Batman Arkham Origins, Episode 139. Batman Massive Phantasm, Film 18. Batman Arkham City DLC, Harley Quinn's Revenge, Mini 13. Batman Arkham City, Episode 118. Batman Arkham City Comic 24. We looked at the comic that comes right up to the game. Batman The Killing Joke, Comic 22. Batman Arkham Asylum, Episode 97. Batman The Long Halloween, Comic 17. Batman Death of the Family, Comic 8. Batman Hush, Comic 3. And the last Batman thing to mention, Batman Episode 3. We cover the Genesis game. This is our 17th Batman episode, by the way.
Wow, that's a lot of Batman.
Mm-hmm. And you're on most of those. You're not in the early ones, but yeah, everything else after that. You're on more Batman episodes than you're not so far.
That's pretty much where I live, is on Batman episodes of this show.
Yeah, I'm noticing. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Fury. Go check her out. You will see a link in the show notes to her TikTok. So definitely go follow her on there. And if you did enjoy this episode and you're wondering why you can't find all the old stuff I just mentioned, Podbean, Podcast Addict, use one of the other podcast catchers besides iTunes or Spotify that go all the way back. Or you can just go to our website on Podbean and you can grab all our episodes that way. I know it's not most convenient, but it's there. So you should go do it because it's always fun to listen to podcasts, people you enjoy. And if you listen to all this crap, you must enjoy me. So, hey, definitely go check that out. You shout out to my buddy Bill Tucker, who did the MCU roundup with me. We went through all the damn movies. Check out his podcast, The Gamer Looks at 40. We do have a Patreon for Little Dog. You can go vote in the Patreon poll. Please go do that and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. And I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
So long.
Bye.